As Biden continues to push his new war on domestic terrorism, both he and the Department of Homeland Security are doubling down on white supremacy as the biggest threat against the country. And they have the solution: targeting conservative Americans and using biometrics systems to do it. Biden announced this once again. He's been talking about this a lot in his administration when he was at a college giving a speech that he could barely mumble out. Here is what he said.
Stand up against the poison of white supremacy as I did my inaugural address to single out
what?
As the most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy.
Even the microphone didn't like it.
I'm not saying this because I'm at a black HBCU.
I'm sure.
I say it wherever I go.
So he has been saying it for a long time because they gave him that talking point. They just put it up on the teleprompter many times. And as usual, every time he comes out and he says these things, he's often in the most evil looking environments, you know, and he's just sitting here looking just kind of mad and angry. And he's got that tone. Almost reminds me of his MAGA insurrection speech out from the gates of hell. Just a little bit different color scheme this time. But this is what he said, and he had a hard time even articulating it.
Stand up against the poison of white supremacy as I did my inaugural address to single out.
I don't know what he said.
The most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy.
Yeah. All right, so he's going to give that mean mug there. I'm really hardcore about white supremacy and all this stuff and scream at us about it, even though, you know, he's got a pretty bad history with helping white supremacists and standing right next to them. The Gateway pundit brought this up, says this unfortunate video of Joe has resurfaced, the one where Joe is delivering the eulogy and the KKK Kliegel to Senator Robert Byrd's funeral. There he is, Senator Robert Byrd, right there. What's Joe Biden doing there? What the heck is he doing there? He just told us that this was the worst scourge in America. Here he is delivering the eulogy.
Although I and my colleagues behind me revere the Senate, Robert C. Byrd elevated the Senate.
He elevated it.
Other great men and their families would have chosen for them to lay in state in the rotunda. But Bob Byrd, his family chose to lay in state in the Senate chamber.
Wow, Joe Biden, big fan of Robert KKK Byrd. That's interesting. He didn't mention that in his speech the other day. And he's also had a long history of other racist comments.
But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Whoa.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the first sort of mainstream African American who was articulate and bright and clean and nice-looking guy.
Yeah, Obama's
Biden
nice and clean.
His early Senate career, bringing up two segregationist senators, Herman Talmadge and James Eastland, who called African Americans an inferior race. I was in a caucus with James O. Eastland, Biden said. He never called me boy. He always called me son. At least there was some civility. We got things done.
The senators that he is speaking of with such adoration are individuals who made and built their reputation on segregation.
Yeah, that's right. Kamala's right.
The Ku Klux Klan celebrated the...
It's absolutely shocking, yeah, that Joe Biden would be involved and he would be doing such a thing in such a horrendous manner. It's just unbelievable. But anyways, so apparently his history of being involved in any of that doesn't really matter. Currently, it's the modern scourge, nothing that he had a part of at all. So there he is screaming at the rest of us, even though he was the one eulogizing former KKK member at a funeral. I've never done that. I don't think many of you have done that. Probably zero of you have done that. But Joe Biden has done it. Anyways, so he is now going to be joined by other people in his administration to scream about white supremacy. And this one comes from Mayorkas, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary.
The president yesterday at his commencement address for the Howard University graduates called white supremacy the major domestic terror threat in this country.
Yeah,
is that correct?
It tragically is. In the terrorism context, domestic violent extremism is our greatest threat right now. Individuals are driven to violence because of ideologies of hate, anti-government sentiment, false narratives.
If you have anti-government sentiment, that makes you a threat to the country. When, quite frankly, the most American thing that you could ever ever be, is challenging your government, questioning your government. This country was born out of revolution, always challenging our government. In fact, our Constitution is structured to enable us to challenge our government. It's in the First Amendment, is to petition your government for a redress of grievances. We've got a lot of grievances. And now to share those grievances, utilizing your free speech, utilizing your free association, all of which are protected in the very First Amendment, being anti-government is now some sort of a challenge. It's now some sort of terrorist group that you're a part of. These people are insane. This is not American. This is anti-American. And they talk about it as though it is American.
Personal grievances and like, and regrettably, we have seen a rise in white supremacy.
Yeah, rise in white supremacy, regrettably. Anti-government narrative is an ideology of hate now. These people are sick. Now, the Department of Homeland Security is working with Amazon to create a biometric database tool on Amazon's cloud. Says DHS is seeking information on the development of a cloud system that would help it manage biometric identity systems. The procurement notice that Reclaim the Net obtained seeks information on the requirements and the development of the Office of Biometric Identity Management to perform its biometrics work. Says the need for biometrics continues to grow among DHS components, and they're going to use Amazon Web Services to do it. Here's the technical criteria. It's going to live on Amazon Web Services, going to have additional features, different codes, going to be able to transfer the codes and other things. It says according to the request for information, the tool is going to focus towards mitigating and resolving identified issues in the current usage of multiple uncoordinated tools for managing these requirements. It says the Office of Biometric Identity Management, the OBIM, provides biometric match, store, share, analyze services to the DHS. The need for biometrics continues to grow among the DHS components like Department of State, Department of Justice, and Department of Defense. Also, state, local, territorial entities, the intelligence community, international mission partners, biometrics support critical national security priorities, including counterterrorism and immigration. We're focused on delivering accurate, timely, and high assurance biometric identity info. The overall goal is to improve services and access to expanded biometric data to enable their operational missions. Don't you like the sound of that? So they're going to be developing now new tools to go and investigate and gobble up biometric data so that they can continue to manage and control everything. And Thomas Massie is warning, this is just the first step in a big effort to gobble up everything. Massie, the representative, said, E-Verify includes pilot programs for alternate verification methods. Says there's no doubt that they're going to collect and then require more biometric information on all Americans to get a job. Then as more people work for cash, the government will require a CBDC, right? Everything is being rolled out slowly but surely in order to continue to gobble up power as they unveil this new effort on white supremacy, domestic terrorists all across America, even though one of the biggest white supremacists in modern American political history who's in elected office is Joe Biden, and they look the other way for him.